This is the second part of this story. Please, follow the link in the right-hand top of the screen to go to the first part and come back to this video. This story is worth it. Update.
Mike Tyson said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." Yes, every plan does not go exactly as you vision. Mine is not exempt from this reality. I will take a moment to set the table of my plan for you. Jane and I have a weekly date night and we generally use the same restaurant. So much so we have a regular table. It is in the back, still public but away from the high energy near the bar. I decided that this would be the place I confront her. I planned to do it after the end of dessert. I got my lawyer and his wife's reservations at the same time. I gave our server the payment for both of our party's meals before we began. She has been our server for years. I had Carol on call to help Jane after I leave. My plan was to end the meal with a conversation about our relationship. I wanted to record it. Then I would confront her, tell her about how I know, my diagnosis, and the plan for what I want, and give her a letter asking her not to contact me or my family or come to the farm. I would have the letter witnessed. I would also leave her a briefcase full of evidence along with the divorce papers. Then get up and walk away. I expected her not to make a scene to protect her social status. I recorded the conversation. She gushed about how great our relationship has been over the years. She talked about how great we are as a team. I asked her if I treated her right, have ever abused her, etc. She said of course not. Then I asked her why did she cheat on me. She stated that she does not know what Carol told me but that it is she is wrong. I told her I had already known before Carol told me. At that point everything I think Jane had prepared to counter this conversation left and so did the color on her face. All she could do was ask, "What?" I then told her to let me get through this without interruption and she shook her head in agreement. She went from a confident and prideful woman to a woman with a deer in the headlights look. All she could do is nod. I then explained how I came home after my meeting with my doctor. I was rushing home to have the most difficult conversation with the one person I wanted to talk to. I explained that when I drove up, I saw his car. I then checked the cameras and saw they were in privacy mode. I decided then to go to the farm. I told her that I still had footage, and she almost interrupted to ask how, but I just put up my hand to remind her to let me finish. I told her about my diagnosis and plans not to fight the disease. I saw the heartbreak in her eyes, and I got angry. How can she feel sorrow for me? But I moved forward. I then signaled the waitress, and she went over and got my lawyer. They both came to our table. My lawyer handed me a briefcase and a folder with a letter. I told her that I don't want her to contact me or my family or come to the farm after I left tonight. I signed the letter and asked the server to witness it. The server and lawyer then watched me give the letter to Jane. I then dismissed them. I then concluded by giving the briefcase to Jane. I told her I know much more than she expects. I was totally destroyed. That there are divorce papers in there already signed by me, and she can sign them and start the divorce proceedings. I told her I don't expect to survive a contested divorce. That as long as I am alive, she can stay at the home in town. I will be at the farm. I will not see her after tonight. I don't want to hear any excuses. I have called Carol to help her home. In true fashion, Jane kept her composure in public. She just uttered a quick, "But," I just reminded her I am leaving, and I am done. I went to the server and gave her a generous tip, found the owner, and apologized for not giving him a heads up. As I am leaving, I see my son at the door with Carol. Carol passes me with a quick smile, then a concern in her eyes for Jane. My son grabs my truck, and his wife drove me to the farm. My son and his wife stayed with me Friday night. I finally got them to go home at midnight. I went to sleep with a great sense of relief, but with a renewed feeling of loss. But I was able to accomplish the task I needed to do. The family came to the farm on Saturday to make sure I was okay. I felt a bit coddled, but it was a good day until Carol came by in the afternoon. She said that Jane fell apart Friday night, but I guess contacted her AP on Saturday. After the conversation, Jane realized she was just being used by the AP and was really in a bad state. Carol made sure to tell me that Jane did not ask her to reach out to me. But she feels that if I could talk with Jane for a bit, then it could give Jane the strength to keep her out of my life. Carol knows how to frame her requests. I reluctantly agreed to a 2-hour discussion at the farm with Jane. I would have someone there for me and Jane could choose someone to be there for her. We will have a civil conversation. I will not accept being blamed, minimization, or blame shifting. The purpose of the meeting will be for her to get answers for how to move forward. That meeting happened this morning. Jane picked Carol, I don't know why, maybe damage control, and I chose my daughter. I wanted it to be as comfortable for Jane just so we don't have to repeat this again. I entered the meeting with a steadfast direction and goal of making Jane out of my life. The meeting was as expected. Jane cried, apologized, and tried to minimize the affair. I did not have any of it. I laid out that she will have a place to live until my death. Then the house decision will be on the trustees. I explained that she will not see anything from my estate or from the trust. But she has her 6-figure pension and her trust, so she will be just fine. I have to rant about something. She said, "Why won't you fight for me or us?" I almost broke loose my temper at her, but I just responded with, "I just don't care about you or us anymore." That kind of destroyed her. Here I am going to express my anger. This is the mind of a selfish cheater. All they think about is themselves. That even after destroying someone, they expect to have enough value in that person's eyes to fight for. F that. I was not worth fighting for against her desires or greed. F her. Sorry for the rant. Jane gets the answers she asked for, but in hindsight did not want them. I don't want another meeting. I feel continuing the meetings just distracts me from what I want to do. Carol and Jane leave, but Carol comes back a couple of hours later. She and I had a quick talk. Apparently, AP had received notice from the trustees that they are going to convert the loan into shares of his company. And since the trust will be the majority owner, they are asking for a full forensic audit. My daughter with the MBA is not wasting any time. Well, I guess when Jane went to him for comfort, she realized what I already expected. He was using her to see if she could buy the loan from me. There were off-handed comments in the recordings that I suspected he was up to something. Well, with the paperwork filed, AP knowing I sold the loan to the trust, and Jane no longer in my life, her usefulness to him is gone, and he let her know. Apparently, Jane also confided in Carol that her trust is exhausted. She will only have the income from her pension. She saw life with AP to be more glamorous than with me. She truly thinks his net worth is more than mine. He drives nice cars, eats in fancy restaurants, flies us first class. Why my husband played on his farm, drove an old truck, and we flew in economy class. That she was planning on divorcing me when he expressed his undying love and desire to marry her. It disgusts me that she is this greedy and shallow. I won't see it, but I expect my family will tell her how much I was worth after my death. I am so glad that her true colors were shown now so I could deal with her and spare my family from her. Then Carol did something that was totally unexpected and threw me off guard. She told me that since I am no longer encumbered, if I need companionship, to give her a call. I challenged her and asked why. With my diagnosis, why would you or any woman want to spend time with me? There is nothing long-term. She responded that just because Jane is an ignorant slut and did not know what she had, does not mean any divorcee or widow would not line up to spend what time I have left with me. That I am a hell of a man and any time with me would be cherished. And I would have quite a few lady callers lining up, and she might as well be first in line. I asked her, but most won't know Jane and I are separated? She said Jane does not want the social groups to know, but that she and Sarah will make sure her story is out. I was polite and told her I would let her know. She smiled and gave me a kiss on the cheek. I thought about it after she left, but I am pretty sure I do not want that complication in my life right now. I have left quite a bit out, but that is the highlight. I am doing okay. It was a roller coaster. I need a few days of peace and quiet. The social groups will know soon. Both the breakup of my marriage and also my diagnosis. I will now have an endless stream of people wishing me well. I knew I could not delay it forever, but I don't want to be treated differently. However, life is what it is. Time to start dinner and relax this evening. Again, thank you all for all of your support. I will try to go back and respond to all of your messages. They mean so much to me.
Update.
First, I am doing okay. I am still above ground and above room temperature. Every day on my feet is a blessing. My coughing is a bit worse. I am experiencing some discomfort. I notice I am getting winded a bit easier. Overall, though, a great week. Let's start with Jane. She has gone to the ground. Her status in the community has crashed hard and swiftly. Once it was out, she was politely asked to resign from any of her leadership roles. Most of her circle has judged her harshly and has come right out and asked her if she chased their husbands. She has tried to reach out a few times. I have not responded. A couple was through proxies. I just asked the person to tell her I had said what I needed to say, and I know all I need to know. I really don't care if she needs closure. Why do I need to worry about her selfish need for that? She knows how I feel because I told her some of the details of the affair. They have been going on for at least 6 months. They took 3 trips together, one of which they played the newlyweds. Another was a couple celebrating a 20-year wedding anniversary and the last that they met on vacation staying at the same hotel. I guess role-playing was a bit of their dynamic. She used my house because she was comfortable there, but also the house is set back from the road and passers-by cannot see the cars in the drive. She also bought herself a second car and stored it in town in a parking garage. She apparently swapped cars when she went to App's house so no one would recognize her car. She was very concerned about how this would be viewed by anyone in her social circle. Maybe so I would not catch her. Her actions alone show how much effort she went to for the affair with the AP. All of these efforts alone solidify in my mind how I am feeling and how I dealt with the affair. I have no regrets about what I have done. The drunken confession to Carol was only partly due to my unpredictability. Apparently, as soon as the notice of my sale of App's loan to the trust was received, he started to distance himself from Jane. I guess from the pressure of almost getting caught and AP starting to not be as interested in her, she got drunk and let it all out to Carol. You know what happens after that. It is pretty clear to me that AP had alternative motives for his participation in the affair. This does not excuse Jane in one small bit. It just makes Jane more pathetic. It appears that AP wanted Jane's help on his loan with me and Jane wanted the flasher life with App's money. It is interesting how ugly people attract each other. If all of us decent people just allow the despicable to pair up together, we can find better partners. Sorry to all of those out of a sense of devotion you work on reconciliation. It was not for me. AP is not happy about the intentions of my daughter. It appears he will be trying to stop it in court. All he has to lose is more money. I have heard rumors that he has tried to raise money from other investors to pay off this loan. But unfortunately for him, the news of his actions has already started to circle around my business acquaintances. Remember when I said you invest in people, not companies? Well, there are not many who want to invest in him. I don't know what my daughter has planned for his company, but it employs quite a few people, so she will work hard to make sure it continues just for them. I think she is worried AP has something to hide in the company's books. For the employees, I hope it is not anything that cannot be corrected. Family time has been great. I went to a high school basketball game with my family this week. I also scheduled a poker night. That was great. I had some old friends, my son, and my grandson at the game. The grandson got to see how old school men sat around telling tales and just enjoyed a night together. I hope to get a few more of these in. We have eaten as a family 3 times this week. Carol did come over one night and brought dinner. We ate and talked, but I kept her at arm's length. I am still not comfortable letting her in. Chores on the farm comfort me. I walk the fences, well, drive at times, check on the animals, check on the employees, and help with equipment maintenance. Knowing that this farm will stay in the family and continue to run fills me with peace. A part of me lives beyond my time here. I have also had a number of friends and acceptances stopping by. Someone mentioned a living wake, and I think this is what they meant. I am encouraging anyone to come out and see me. I like spending time with these folks, even if it might be the last time. Thank you for suggesting that. Thank you all for your support. It really does help.
Update.
I am still here, but it has been a bit rough. I am now home, but I did spend a few days in the hospital. I was found unconscious but was still breathing, so they took me to the ER. I do have a do not resuscitate order, but I never died. I have always hated hospitals, but now with my diagnosis, I really hate the hospital. I don't want to die in there. I have been home for a while now. I can no longer drive off the farm. Really, they don't want me to drive on the farm, but I am determined to keep doing my chores and seeing the sunrise and sunset as long as I can. I also have full-time home healthcare workers, or as I call them, babysitters. But I am not going to fight with the family on that one. So basically, I don't remember anything until I woke up in the hospital. Most of my family and Carol were in the room. I was stable by then, and the doctors just wanted to observe me for a day or two and of course run more tests to be sure. I had either my twins, Sarah, or Carol with me for almost the entire time. There was one night when no one was with me, and I woke up with Jane in my room. I guess she pulled the wife card on a duty nurse that did not know not to let her in. I was tired, but she was playing the sweet and devoted wife. I don't know why. Then when I realized she was holding my hand and stroking my head, I pulled away. She was hurt. She then started the new refrain of being so sorry, she did not mean anything she said to him, she was trying to use him, etc. I just sat there, not engaging. This upset her. She demanded that I talk to her. She was just loud enough to catch the nurse's attention. The nurse noticed Jane's demeanor and my uncomfortableness. The nurse was smooth. She tells Jane to wait outside because she needs to perform some BS checks. Once Jane was out of the room and the door was closed, the nurse asked me if I was okay. I told her that Jane was my ex-wife and there should be notes for her not to be allowed. She apologized and asked me what she wants me to do to limit my stress. I asked her to call my emergency contacts. She did, and in about 45 minutes Sarah, my daughter, and Carol walked into the room. By then Jane is back and still spewing her BS, but at a very quiet level. Once Jane sees them, she knows that she needs to leave. I quietly asked her to just go. None of the other patients deserve her making a scene. To stop thinking about herself and just leave. I am very thankful that she quietly leaves, but she first gives me a quick peck on the forehead. I recoiled a bit, but if I have to accept that for the peace of the other patients, so be it. The women in my life profusely apologized to me. Honestly, I cannot be mad at them. They have their own lives. They all figured out a schedule to make sure that I was not left alone again. And I am sure my daughter thanked the nurse for calling them while at the same time letting the staff know her anger for letting Jane in when they had specific instructions to the contrary. This event just shows me that Jane is like a drowning person. She is just grabbing for anything. I am not special in her eyes. She just sees me as something that she can use to keep afloat. After every contact with Jane, I just see how much darker and black her soul is. AP is still as much a jackass as he was before. His accounting department has seen where the wind is blowing, and in meetings with my daughter, pretty much gave her an entire picture. There is no criminal conduct by AP in his business. It is clear that he was using every perk and loophole to increase his income over his base pay at the expense of the bottom line. So, when my daughter takes control, he will realize a 60% reduction of value to him from the company. And that really pisses him off. I have a feeling she might just outright fire him and move him to a silent minority owner role. So, his flashy lifestyle is going to hit a brick wall. He has threatened lawsuits but has not brought any action yet. I think his credit and/or reputation in the area is shot to hell. Carol has been a more permanent fixture in my life. I have to say I don't mind the company and companionship. Maybe she is wearing me down. She has been staying over several days a week. I hope to bounce back sooner than later. But since I cannot drive anymore, I am going to have to lean on others more. This is uncharted waters for me. Carol has been eagerly volunteering to support me in this area. And before you ask, no, there is nothing physical between us other than sitting close together.
Update.
I have been taking it easy for a few days since getting home. I am going to make a follow-up on my previous post. Again, this post is just going to be on my profile. My family has probably heard all of this from me before, but I want to put it up here for you and them. If my family is reading this, I love you very much. In the first post, we talked about what we have control of, honesty and money. You will find that all of my thoughts will come from one root source. That source is humility. Fortunately, early in my life the world hit me hard. It took a bit, but I was forced to learn humility. And that lesson blossomed into a mindset that served me so well for the rest of my life. Knowledge is king. I have spent my life learning. If you think you are the smartest person in the room, first you are in the wrong room, and second, you are full of S. No one can know everything. I know when I meet someone, I can learn something from them. It takes 10,000 hours of practice to master a complex skill. It is impossible for any of us to master everything. So, if you think you are the smartest person in the room, get over yourself and also ask yourself who knows more about another topic in that room than you. And ask them about that. You will be amazed at what you learn from someone when they are in the element. On the other side, when someone asks you for information, be willing to share and pass on your knowledge. In life, business, and anything else, surround yourself with people smarter than you. The only stupid question is the one not asked. Learn something new every day. Be in the moment. This has two parts: truly hearing someone and enjoying the moment. Let's start with cherishing the moment. There is a mindset I have seen with some of my younger coworkers and really society in general, the you only live once mentality. And with that mentality, they spend time collecting experiences. The problem with this mindset is that they spend so much time planning and documenting the experiences like a collection that they don't just spend time enjoying the experience. I have traveled from time to time, and I have had more enjoyment sitting in a cafe and watching the locals or having a wonderful conversation with someone I just met. I lived in that moment. I might not have climbed the Eiffel Tower, did a gondola ride in the canals, or any other bucket list events. But I did have a great meal with people I cared about. Had a long discussion with a farmer at a quaint cafe in the Italian countryside. These moments have become part of me, and part of why I say I had a life well lived. The second part of this is listening, or better hearing. This has been a lifelong struggle. When I was younger, I spent my time in a conversation trying to figure out where I can work my knowledge into the conversation to impress the ones I was talking to. I did this all the while they were giving me wonderful nuggets of knowledge from their life experiences. I so wish to this day I paid more attention. I still suffer from this flaw, but from another source. My mind can at times run a mile a minute. So, when I am thirsty for knowledge, I can get in a mode of thinking of follow-up questions instead of really hearing what the person is telling. I have to actively stop myself. All of this should change you for the positive. We always are growing. Learning new knowledge or adding an experience will change you, most likely ever so slightly. They should just make you a more interesting, compassionate, and wise person. Never stop becoming a wonderful person. Also, be a part of that cycle for others. One other important part of this is time for self-reflection. Make sure you spend some time by yourself, just thinking about what you have learned through others and your experiences. Let that process go through your humility filter. You will find that just spending a few minutes like that a day builds clarity. I use my watching the sunrise and set for some of that. You can journal if you like. I generally just have an inward dialogue. I think this completes the foundations for my life. I really am just a simple person with simple principles. But if you have questions, I can always see if I have anything worthwhile to answer you with. I love you all.
Update.
My dad passed away this past week. I have been reading his posts and responses as I can for the past few days. I hear him so clearly in his posts and responses. One of his requests was to give you your letter from him. Well, if you are reading this letter, you know that my time here is at an end. As all of you had suggested, I had written letters to all of my family members, and also created videos for them as well. While answering your posts, I started referring to you all as my Reddit family. That got me thinking that I needed to write one final letter. That letter is to all of you. I want to thank you all for your support and suggestions. This short time has been so important to me and will clearly be important to my family long after I am gone. You have helped me achieve my final gift to myself and to my family. That last Christmas week as a family. Without having somewhere to vent and gain support, I would have had to turn to my family. And doing that would have meant abandoning my goal. My family might not see it as a gift right now, but they will in the future. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed making those little videos. My family will have another small piece of me, and that is thanks to you all. I would not have done any of those silly little videos without your suggestions and encouragement. Honestly, I would not have even thought of it. I do have one request for all of you. My family will be going through many emotions. I know that part of putting my story out there is for you all to want a conclusion. Please allow my family to grieve and keep the request for updates to an acceptable minimum. I have asked them to give you this letter, and if they feel they could, to give a final update on Jane. That final update is up to them. I have asked them. I just ask you all to be patient. Finally, I wish you all the best. All of the love I can provide from the great beyond. Remember, none of us are promised tomorrow. Know yourself and be good to those around you. I hope none of you suffer the road I have to walk, but if you do, I will in any way I can walk it with you. Remember, you all are worth so much. Never let anyone tell you anything different. I will send as many virtual hugs as I can from wherever I end up. Saying thank you at times feels so inadequate, but it is the words I have right now. Thank you. I hope we meet in the beyond, just not too soon.
I hope this story touched you as much as it did to me. This man is very strong and handles himself in such a tough situation very well. I wish anyone to be like him. Thank you for watching this video.